Master your thoughts before they master you. Long before circumstances take shape in the outer world, they are interpreted, colored, and assigned meaning by your inner dialogue. They exaggerate fears, magnify insults, and rehearse disasters that have not yet occurred. To master your thoughts is to assume rightful authority over this internal realm. The mind is restless by nature. It drifts toward worry, comparison, resentment, and self-doubt as easily as a river follows gravity. Yet you are not the river. You are the architect of its course. Awareness is the first act of mastery. Observe the tone of your self-talk. By stepping back and examining your thoughts, you create distance between stimulus and response, and in that space lies power. Unexamined thoughts often masquerade as truth. A fleeting insecurity becomes a fixed identity. A careless remark from another becomes a verdict on your worth. When you accept every thought as fact, you surrender your freedom. Instead, interrogate them. Many will dissolve under scrutiny, exposed as distortions rather than. It is not the denial of emotion or the refusal to acknowledge pain. Rather, it is the disciplined evaluation of what those emotions are telling you. Anger may signal injustice, but uncontrolled anger corrodes judgment. Fear may signal risk, but unchecked fear paralyzes action. By guiding these impulses through reason, you transform them from tyrants into advisors. Consistency in mental discipline shapes character. Each time you redirect a destructive thought, you strengthen your capacity for restraint. Each time you replace envy with admiration or bitterness with understanding, you refine your moral framework. The mind becomes what it repeatedly entertains. If you dwell on gratitude, it becomes fertile ground for resilience. If you dwell on negativity, it becomes a breeding ground for dissatisfaction. External events remain largely beyond your control, but interpretation remains yours. Two individuals may encounter the same obstacle. One perceives catastrophe, the other perceives challenge. Mastery of thought allows you to reframe adversity as instruction. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What does this demand of me?" Distraction is another subtle adversary. In an age saturated with noise, unfiltered information floods the mind. Without vigilance, your mental landscape becomes cluttered with opinions, comparisons, and trivial anxieties. Guarding your thoughts requires intentional consumption. Curate your influences with discernment. What you repeatedly expose yourself to will inevitably shape your internal narrative. When praise arrives, you neither inflate with arrogance nor become dependent on approval. When criticism appears, you examine it without collapsing under its weight. You do not chase validation nor flee from discomfort. You evaluate, adjust if necessary, and continue with composure. Patience is essential in this practice. Overnight, habits of rumination and negativity may have been cultivated over years. Each day offers countless opportunities to redirect, refine, and realign. Over time, clarity replaces confusion, steadiness replaces volatility, and intentional thought replaces impulsive reaction. Every decision flows from cognition. Every action is preceded by belief. When you cultivate disciplined thinking, you construct a stable foundation upon which purpose, courage, and integrity can stand. Integrity is the quiet covenant you make with yourself to remain faithful to your principles, regardless of circumstance. It is easy to appear honorable under the gaze of others when reputation is at stake and applause is within reach. The true measure of character, however, reveals itself in solitude, in moments when convenience tempts you to compromise and no external witness stands to applaud or condemn. Integrity begins with alignment. Your thoughts, words, and actions must move in harmony rather than contradiction. When you profess honesty yet entertain deceit in private, a fracture forms within. When you advocate discipline yet indulge in secret negligence, you weaken your own foundation. Every inconsistency erodes self-trust. Over time, this erosion becomes visible in hesitation, insecurity, and quiet shame. It allows you to stand firm because there is no hidden conflict within you. The absence of observers does not diminish the significance of your actions. In fact, it magnifies them. A small dishonest act, justified because it seems inconsequential, sets a precedent. The mind grows accustomed to rationalization. Conversely, each private act of integrity strengthens resolve. You teach yourself that your standards are not negotiable commodities, but enduring commitments. Integrity requires courage. There will be moments when cutting corners appears harmless, when exaggerating the truth promises advantage, when silence seems safer than honesty. To choose the upright path in such moments demands inner fortitude. Yet, what you preserve is infinitely more valuable: your self-respect. When you know that your actions reflect your values, you carry a quiet confidence that no external approval can replicate. There is also discipline in integrity. They whisper of efficiency, popularity, or personal benefit. Integrity demands that you pause, reflect, and measure the long-term consequences of short-term gratification. It asks you to consider not merely what you can get away with, but what kind of person you are becoming. This perspective transforms moral decisions from burdens into investments in your own identity. Acting with integrity fosters trust. Even when others are unaware of your private choices, you cultivate reliability within yourself. You become someone who follows through, who honors commitments, who resists duplicity. Over time, this internal reliability radiates outward. They respond with confidence because your words and actions align. Trust built upon integrity is durable. It does not crumble under scrutiny. Integrity also demands humility. You will err. You will fall short of your ideals. In such moments, the path of integrity is not denial or concealment, but acknowledgement and correction. Owning your mistakes without excuse demonstrates strength, not weakness. It reaffirms your commitment to truth over ego. By confronting your shortcomings directly, you prevent them from multiplying in secrecy. The practice of integrity refines your conscience. Each principled decision sharpens moral clarity. You become more attuned to subtle deviations from your standards. What once seemed trivial now feels significant because your awareness has matured. Integrity transforms morality from a set of external rules into an internal compass that guides you instinctively. When you act with integrity in unseen moments, you construct a private legacy. You know who you are, independent of reputation or acclaim. You are not divided between public persona and private reality. There is a singularity to your existence that grants peace. Your sleep is undisturbed by hidden compromises. Your reflection in the mirror meets your gaze without accusation. Integrity is not performance. It is practice. It is the deliberate choice to honor your highest understanding of right conduct in every context. Whether alone or observed, rewarded or overlooked, convenient or costly, your actions remain anchored in principle. Guard your time and energy as sacred assets. Time is the invisible currency of existence, and energy is the force that animates it. Both are finite, both are irreplaceable, and both are often squandered with casual disregard. To treat them as sacred is to recognize their immeasurable value and to allocate them with deliberate intention rather than careless impulse. Every morning, you awaken with a limited reserve. Hours stretch before you, yet none can be stored for later use. Once spent, they dissolve into memory. Energy operates in a similar manner. It fuels your focus, your labor, your creativity, and your relationships. When you exhaust it on trivial pursuits or needless conflicts, you diminish your capacity for meaningful contribution. Guarding these assets requires vigilance and discernment. Distraction is one of the greatest thieves of time. It arrives disguised as harmless entertainment, endless scrolling, idle gossip, or unnecessary debate. Collectively, they accumulate into lost potential. When you allow your attention to fragment across countless trivialities, you dilute your effectiveness. Concentrated effort produces progress. Protecting your time demands that you define what deserves your attention and reject what does not. Energy, too, must be shielded from unnecessary drain. Certain environments exhaust you. Certain conversations deplete you. Certain habits weaken your vitality. Complaining without action, engaging in constant comparison, or harboring resentment consumes mental strength that could be invested in growth. Emotional turbulence left unchecked saps resilience. Guarding time and energy also requires clarity of purpose. When you lack direction, you become susceptible to every external demand. Others will dictate your schedule. Circumstances will steer your priorities. Without a defined aim, urgency replaces importance, and you find yourself perpetually busy yet rarely fulfilled. When you identify what truly matters, your principles, your responsibilities, your aspirations, you can align your hours accordingly. Purpose acts as a filter, allowing essential tasks to pass while blocking distractions. There is discipline in saying no. Each refusal is not an act of selfishness, but an affirmation of priority. When you decline commitments that conflict with your values or overextend your capacity, you demonstrate respect for your limits. Overcommitment breeds mediocrity. Selective engagement fosters excellence. By guarding your time, you ensure that when you commit, you can do so with full presence and competence. Rest is also a component of stewardship. Guarding energy does not mean constant exertion. Sleep, reflection, and moments of stillness replenish clarity and strength. Without deliberate recovery, fatigue erodes judgment and diminishes quality. Treating rest as essential rather than indulgent allows you to maintain consistency rather than oscillating between overexertion and burnout. Mindful consumption further preserves energy. What you read, watch, and listen to shapes your internal state. Continuous exposure to negativity fosters anxiety and agitation. Thoughtful engagement with constructive material cultivates insight and composure. Curating your inputs is as important as managing your outputs. The quality of your focus depends on the quality of what you permit into your awareness. Guarding time and energy cultivates self-respect. When you allocate them intentionally, you affirm that your life holds value. You cease to drift through days dictated by habit or impulse. Instead, you become deliberate, measured, and purposeful. You recognize that each hour invested in growth compounds over years into transformation. Consistency in this practice strengthens discipline. Small daily decisions, rising promptly, prioritizing meaningful tasks, limiting distractions, compound into substantial achievement. Over time, you observe the results of careful stewardship. Choose discipline over temporary pleasure. The tension between what is easy and what is right defines much of human struggle. Pleasure often presents itself as immediate relief and escape from effort, discomfort, or delay. Discipline, by contrast, demands restraint, patience, and sustained commitment. Yet the difference between a life of regret and a life of fulfillment is often determined by which of these two you habitually select. Temporary pleasure is seductive because it gratifies instantly. It promises comfort without cost, reward without. Whether it appears as procrastination instead of effort, excess instead of moderation, or impulse instead of reflection, it appeals to the part of you that seeks ease. The cost, however, is rarely immediate. It is direction. It is the conscious alignment of your actions with your long-term values rather than your short-term impulses. When you practice restraint in speech instead of releasing sharp words, when you choose preparation over postponement, you are exercising discipline. Each such act reinforces your authority over yourself. There is a profound difference between pleasure that follows effort and pleasure that replaces it. The first strengthens you. The second weakens you. Satisfaction earned through perseverance carries dignity. It affirms competence and builds confidence. Pleasure sought as escape fosters dependence. It conditions you to avoid discomfort rather than overcome it. Over time, this avoidance narrows your capacity for growth. Discipline cultivates resilience. It trains you to endure temporary hardship for enduring gain. Physical training strengthens the body through resistance. Intellectual study sharpens the mind through concentration. Moral discipline refines character through restraint. In each domain, growth requires friction. When you consistently choose the path that challenges you, you expand your tolerance for difficulty. The practice of discipline also clarifies priorities. Matters. If a goal holds genuine importance, you will accept the sacrifices it demands. If you repeatedly abandon effort for comfort, you reveal a misalignment between aspiration and action. Discipline bridges that gap. It transforms intention into execution. Without it, ambition remains theoretical. Temporary pleasure often disguises itself as harmless reward. Just this once, you tell yourself. Yet habits are formed not in grand gestures but in small repeated choices. Each indulgence lowers resistance to the next. Conversely, each disciplined act strengthens resolve. The accumulation of these patterns shapes identity. Choosing discipline also protects freedom. At first glance, restraint appears restrictive. In reality, lack of discipline leads to dependency on cravings, distractions, moods, and external validation. When you cannot deny yourself, you are controlled by whatever tempts you. Discipline restores autonomy. It ensures that your decisions. Emotional discipline is equally vital. Reacting immediately to anger may feel satisfying, but it often produces regret. Exercising patience preserves relationships and credibility. Complaining may provide momentary relief, yet constructive action yields lasting improvement. The disciplined response is rarely the easiest, but it is consistently the most beneficial. Over time, discipline reshapes desire itself. What once felt burdensome becomes routine. Effort becomes familiar. You begin to derive satisfaction from consistency, from progress, from the quiet knowledge that you are honoring your commitments. To choose discipline over temporary pleasure is to favor future strength over present ease, enduring fulfillment over fleeting gratification, principled action over impulsive reaction. Anchor your worth in character, not in praise. In a world that constantly measures value through applause, recognition, and visible achievement, it is dangerously easy to confuse attention with significance. Praise is loud. Character is quiet. Praise is public. Character is private. If you build your sense of worth upon the shifting winds of approval, you will forever be unsteady. But if you root it in the solid ground of your principles, no external voice can truly diminish you. From an early age, many are conditioned to seek validation. Good grades earn approval. Talent attracts admiration. Success brings celebration. None of these are inherently wrong, yet they subtly train the mind to associate worth with response. The problem arises when praise becomes a necessity rather than a byproduct. When approval becomes your fuel, you begin to tailor your behavior to satisfy expectations rather than to express integrity. You may achieve recognition, yet lose authenticity. Character, by contrast, is not performed. It is revealed in consistency. It is the pattern of choices you make when convenience tempts compromise. It is the quiet refusal to betray your standards, even when doing so would win applause. Anchoring your worth in character means that your value is determined not by how many approve of you, but by how faithfully you adhere to what you know is right. Public opinion shifts with trends, moods, and misunderstandings. If your self-worth rises and falls with these fluctuations, you will experience a critique will deflate you. You become reactive, fragile, and dependent. But when your worth is grounded in character, feedback becomes information rather than identity. You can evaluate it without being consumed by it. There is profound stability in internal validation. Courage and discipline. You possess a quiet confidence that requires no audience. Even if your efforts go unnoticed, they are not wasted. Even if they are misunderstood, they remain meaningful. Anchoring your worth in character also protects you from arrogance. Praise can intoxicate. Repeated admiration may tempt you to equate popularity with superiority. It recognizes that growth is ongoing and that excellence requires continued effort. When you value character above praise, you remain grounded, even in success. At the same time, this anchor shields you from despair. Failure, rejection, or lack of recognition do not erase your inherent dignity. If you acted with integrity, then the outcome does not define you. Results are influenced by factors beyond your control. Character is not. You may strive and not be celebrated. You may speak truth and not be applauded. Yet, if your conduct reflects your principles, your worth remains intact. The pursuit of praise often narrows behavior. You may suppress individuality to conform to expectation. You may choose visibility over virtue. Anchoring your worth in character liberates you from this constraint. It allows you to speak honestly, to stand firm, and to act justly, even when such actions are unpopular. Freedom emerges when your identity is no longer dependent on reception. Developing this anchor requires deliberate reflection. What character means to you? Is it honesty under pressure? Compassion without recognition? Discipline in unseen moments? Once defined, these qualities become your measure. Instead of asking, "Did they approve of me?" that shift transforms evaluation from external to internal. There will be moments when praise and character align, when virtuous action is recognized and celebrated. Accept appreciation with gratitude, but do not attach your identity to it. Let it be encouragement, not foundation. The foundation must remain your values, your conscience, your commitment to becoming better than you were yesterday. Cultivate self-examination. At the end of each day, review not how much admiration you received,